Koreans have been spamming new variations of Bruiser builds after the Conqueror and Gore Drinker nerfs, so we're excited to share those with you guys, along with many more setups you should be abusing for 11.22. And with that said, let's get right into it. First up, there's a highly underrated build and rune setup for Fiora you need to be playing. Stridebreaker is the rush item as pros are prioritizing it in solo queue, and it's winning more than any other mythic. The active damage from Stride now scales off 175% base AD instead of 100% total AD, which gives it more power early on. The AD on Stride was also increased by 5, which isn't a huge deal, but a buff nonetheless that adds to your snowball potential. A very underrated aspect of Stridebreaker Fiora is that proccing your vitals is so much easier after you apply the active slow. A lot of the time, the enemy will want to try and move over to hug a wall so that you can't get that last vital proc. But if you all in them and proc slow, it's impossible for the enemy to move. The complete core build is Stride Rush into Ravenous Hydra 2nd and Sterix 3rd. As for the rune setup, running Grasp instead of Conqueror is proving to be very strong. Stat-wise, Grasp users are winning 3% more than Conqueror users, so it just goes to show how hard the Conq nerfs hit Fiora. Grasp has always been a viable option on Fiora as her Q procs on hit effects, so the synergy is great. In ranged matchups where you won't be able to consistently proc Grasp, running Conqueror is still fine, but you should definitely be running Grasp in melee matchups now. The full rune page is Grasp, followed by Demolish, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Grab free boots and biscuits for secondaries. Top lane Jarvan with Summon Aerie as the keystone is being played by pros across all regions, but it's still picked very minimally in solo queue. Aerie works great on Jarvan for a few different reasons. Aerie's shield will proc when you empower or protect teammates. Jarvan E counts as an empowering ability, and therefore, whenever it's down, your teammate will receive Aerie's shields. This gives Aerie a lot of value in early 2v2 skirmishes and teamfights. Jarvan Q is a very consistent poke tool for laning, and by running Aerie along with Scorch, it adds to that harass even more. Since Q-Poke is how you win out on a lot of melee matchups, being able to run mana flow from Sorcery Tree is great for sustain, so you can constantly poke. Overall, Aerie synergizes with Jarvan in many different ways, which makes it the most optimal pickup. For your secondary runes, grab Biscuits and Time Warp Tonic to enhance early laning power. Core build is a Gore Drinker Rush into Sterix 2nd and Guardian Angel 3rd. A build that has garnered a lot of attention throughout 11.21 that most Western players continue to sleep on is a full-out offensive build for Viego. Instead of the standard Divine Sunderer route, Koreans are loving a Shield Bow Rush into Essence Reaver 2nd. So what makes this build so strong, you might ask? Well, in 11.21, Viego saw two major scaling buffs. Q-AD ratio was increased from 60 to 70%, while his ultimate crit strike ratio went from 75 to 100%. Your one-shot power and ability to play more like an assassin is now extremely potent. 3-item Spike is where the build really comes online, as you'll pick up an Infinity Edge to max out on crit. This gives your ultimate ludicrous damage. It might take a little while to adapt to this playstyle, as you definitely don't have the same durability as you would with Divine and Sterix. Nevertheless, if you're snowballing and want to take matters into your own hands, then this offensive build will provide you with exactly that. Keystone Rune is actually really interesting in 11.21 as well. As we all know, Conqueror was nerfed, and as a result, Press the Attack is winning more in solo queue. PTA actually works extremely well with this bursty setup, as you want as much upfront damage as possible. All in all, lots of new variations to your Viego setup, so look to try them out this patch. Xin Zhao was hit really hard by the Gore Drinker nerfs, which has led to a rise in priority of Stridebreaker. Former Korean pro Ambition has been playing it in solo queue to a lot of success. Stat-wise, Stride is the highest win rate for any mythic on Xin Zhao, so similar to Fiora, many players are sleeping on the item. Since Stride now deals more damage early on, that's great for a champ like Xin Zhao, who wants to accelerate an advantage. The sticking power from Stride active synergizes nicely as you jump on the enemy with E and then use Stride slow to almost guarantee your knockup from Q. Since the Stride active is on such a short cooldown, it's available for almost every rotation of spells, which makes your engaged plays more effective. Full build is a Stride Rush into Sterix 2nd and Guardian Angel 3rd. As for runes, run Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace, roll with Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. For our question of the day, which change are you guys most excited or least excited about for preseason? There are so many new additions, whether it be dragons, runes, or items, so we'd love to hear what you guys think. I'm definitely excited to see how the new dragons translate into both solo queue and pro play. New ways to play the game are always refreshing, but let's just hope they don't turn out extremely broken. So let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Lux mid lane is a premier pick after her recent buffs, but it's important you optimize her build for most success. Chemtech Putrefier is a highly effective item being slept on for Lux. You see, most mages sit on Oblivion Orb or build Morellos when in need of healing reduction, but Lux is different. Since Lux has a shield in her kit, building Chemtech not only provides yourself with grievous wounds, but your teammates as well. Lux W is an AoE shield, so the power from Chemtech is even more insane. If you get a multi-man W off in a team fight, then your entire team can have the Grievous Wounds debuff to completely mitigate enemy healing. Now, of course, Chemtech is still situational, as you don't want to purchase if the enemy comp has no healing. Against heavy healing though, slotting the item in as a third purchase will work wonders. A sample core build looks like a Luden's Rush into Horizon Focus second and Chemtech Putrefier third. In regards to the rune page, grab Comet with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Gathering Storm. Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter are the best secondaries. We've been very adamant about Predator's strength on mid lane picks as of recent, and another you can abuse it on is Taliyah. Korean pros Yucal and Showmaker have been using the rune on their Taliyah. The buffs from a few patches back make her laning phase even better, which gives you more roam opportunities. Predator popped with passive activated will allow you to motor from mid to bot lane in a matter of seconds to pick off kill after kill. To bolster this even further, you'll run Relentless Hunter and Time Warp Tonic for ridiculous movement speed. As for the core build, you'll rush a Luden's Tempest into Zanya second and Void Staff third. Samira was one of the ADCs hit the hardest by recent rune changes, as she liked to run Conqueror with Domination secondary. Conqueror remains the best keystone for Samira, however, you'll want to be switching around your secondary runes moving forward. Ravenous Hunter is no longer optimal after the nerfs, as Resolve secondary has taken over as the best option. The runes you'll be running are Bone Plating combined with Revitalize. Bone Plating is great for Samira, as she wants to be forcing early all-in plays with aggressive supports. Revitalize synergizes perfectly with Shield Bow and Bloodline to amplify healing. If you're unaware, the second part of Revitalize amplifies heals and shields by 10% if you're below 40% health. Absolutely amazing, as the Shield Bow shield procs when you fall below 30% health. This means you'll gain an even stronger shield to enhance durability. Build remains very standard with a Shield Bow rush into the Collector second and Infinity Edge third. Another marksman given the short end of the stick in 11.21 was Aphelios, as he too was a strong Conqueror and Ravenous abuser. No worries though, as Korean pro Viper has been spamming a new rune page. Instead of Conqueror, you'll pick up Lethal Tempo. Lethal has always been a viable alternative for Aphelios, but it becomes an even better pickup now. Viper's been spicing up the secondary page, running Resolve instead of Domination. It's going to be the exact setup as Samira with Bone Plating and Revitalize. The primary runes are Overheal with Bloodline and Cut Down. Another thing to note is that Viper, along with many other pros, are favoring Exhaust over Heal to amplify 1v1 power and peel off dive champions. Build-wise, a Shield Bow rush into the Collector second and Infinity Edge third will do the trick. Gale Force is pretty undervalued as well in games where enemy comp has many skill shot reliant champs. A support performing very well with Predator after the recent buffs is Pyke. As a support who wants to roam and influence the map, Predator complements Pyke's playstyle nicely. When you're in matchups where reliably landing hooks with Q is out of the question, then opting for Predator over Hail of Blades is a great strategy. For example, if you're laning into Lucian and Nami, it's a super difficult matchup, and even if you land a hook, winning out on the 2v2 is unlikely. Lucian Dash along with Nami move speed buff makes landing Q super difficult, so in that regard, running Predator and trying to influence other lanes will be of more value. Another unique aspect of the rune page is you'll be running Ingenious Hunter instead of Ultimate Hunter. Ingenious has amazing synergy with Pyke's items along with the Predator active. Other primary runes are Cheap Shot and Zombie Ward. For secondaries, grab Biscuits and Cosmic Insight. For the build, rush an Umbral Glaive into Ghostblade second and Duskblade third. A Senna build that emphasizes a supported playstyle is being played more and more as of recent. Kraken is by far most popular, but an Eclipse Rush into Umbral Glaive second is leading to better results. With Kraken into Fire Cannon, you're all-out offensive without any utility or defensive power. Eclipse Shield and movement speed help you kite around and make up for your lack of mobility. Umbral Glaive is one of the most underrated items in general, as the vision control it provides for mid-game is so valuable. In games where your team is severely lacking consistent damage, then building Kraken is a great choice. Vice versa though, when your team has plenty of carries, then opting for the more utility-focused build will work great. Third item is pretty situational, but a Fire Cannon tends to slot in really well. For runes, run Glacial Augment with Magical Footwear, Biscuits, and Approach Velocity. Optimal secondaries are Presence of Mind and Alacrity. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $4.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So that's going to conclude the 11.22 edition of the new OP Korean builds. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and we will see you in the next one.